Hey guys and gals, welcome to this week's Pre-Foreclosure Daily Grind Tip of the Week. Chris the Drummer Bowles, Bob LaChance getting back to you. We got some good stuff today in this week. Wells Fargo, they got some latest guideline changes or policy changes in reference to short sales, and they're actually sale date or foreclosure sale dates coming up. And I'm just going to read through some of these because this is in via email form, and then Chris is going to dissect it and break it down. There's some good things here, so make sure you guys listen intently. Also, before I get into this, our PropTracker.com, which is our online real estate management tool, we have a open Q&A webinar and also some latest changes and updates on the new cap and trade bill that's going through legislation right now. So you're going to want to be on that call and how it affects us as real estate agents and investors and loss mitigation specialists. So it's going to be killer. But anyway, let's get back to this tip here. Wells Fargo. It says short sales at Wells Fargo that have a foreclosure date pending in the next 0 to 10 days. Files will be closed, rejected, and returned to agents as declined. Agents also mean investor buyers or loss mitigation specialists. They are to be removed from Wells Fargo's system immediately. So Chris, you want to touch upon that?
That basically means, now, obviously we've talked in the past about if a foreclosure date is in place when you go to start the short sale process, that the amount of time you have before that date will impact whether or not you can get your offer accepted. Now, what this is meant to do is to apply to wherever you are in the process. So in other words, if there's a foreclosure date within 0 to 10 days when you go to submit an offer initially, it'll be declined, it won't even be opened.
So if you get a seller that calls you within 10 days, don't take the deal because they will not extend the date. That's as of today.
Right, but also, even if you're 2 months into the process, and let's say if a foreclosure date gets set for a week away, then at that point, the file, regardless of your progress, the file will get closed at that point and will not be reopened, and the foreclosure will not be postponed. That's what they're trying to tell us there. So it sucks that some of us may spend 2, 3, 4 months on a file, have a foreclosure date put in place, and then we can't do anything with it. So.
On the positive side, they've been one of the quicker banks to deal with. So on the flip side of that, just know and be aware of when there is a foreclosure date pending, and if there is. Also, you got to make sure you know what state you are and your actual foreclosure laws in your own state and how they actually go. And we're going to go over 2 other ones here, but I want to be clear too. This is the reason why Chris and I always talk about having lender profiles and profiling each lender in your office.
Right.
We have every single lender profile, so we know next time we have a Wells Fargo deal, we pull up our lender profiles, look at all the notes, and we know, what is going on before it even starts. It's pretty powerful.
Right. We're going to obviously inquire now with each Wells Fargo deal. How many months behind is this seller? We're going to look more deeply into the foreclosure, the legal process, where they're at, obviously the state they're in, so that as we are getting ready to potentially do the short sale on that property, we have a clearer sense of what we could face with regards to all these guidelines.
Okay, a couple more bullets. No more delays and no more foreclosure extensions will be granted. That's 2 more bullets on the last one. All right, number 2, short sales with foreclosure dates of 11 plus days must be closed in 30 days or Wells Fargo will proceed to foreclosure. No more delays. 45-day approval is no longer on short sales with foreclosure date assigned, which means you also have to look at the financing, our end buyer's financing. If you're dealing with FHA or CHFA, which is us, which also gives down payment assistance, and they typically have 45 days. You also have to look at that too. That's pretty big. Must have formal Wells Fargo approval letter, approval from any junior liens, proof of funds if cash buyer, and commitment letter from lender for financed buyer. You want to touch upon that at all?
Okay, so basically what this means now is that upon getting a written approval from Wells Fargo, before they will give their formal written approval, they must have, as Bob said, either a commitment letter from a financed buyer or a proof of funds from a cash buyer, plus they must have a written approval from any junior liens. This is if there's a foreclosure date that is...
So start dancing.
between 11 days out and whatever. This applies to if there's a foreclosure date that is set that's at least 11 days out.
Okay, and then one last bullet here. Short sales with no scheduled foreclosure date continue to work as current process. Approval provided by Wells Fargo will be 60 days on these. So they're giving us 2 months on these, which is, not too bad considering the short sale world. Some you get, more or less, but that's not a bad benchmark. If the foreclosure date is set at any time during negotiating process, closing process moves to step number 2, and time frame immediately reduces to 30 days, or Wells Fargo will foreclose.
Right. So basically, if there is not a set foreclosure date at any point in time during the short sale review process up until the approval, the buyer will have 60 days to close. But again, with none of these conditions will there be any extensions granted. And then, as Bob said, if a foreclosure date is set at any point in time during the process, it moves to step 2. So now the buyer is only going to have 30 days to close.
Right. So those are good tips. Also, I'm sure all you guys read the newspapers and all the blogs, but the government is trying to push through another foreclosure timeline that each lender has to abide by. I think it's 45 days. It just came out today. I read it out today, but another one of those things. And I know National Association of Realtors is really pushing hard to get that approved, which would be great for all of us. Mm-hmm. Anyway, we have our prop tracker webinar tomorrow. Again, we're going to be going over some really important things that's going to touch upon us real estate agents and investors and loss mitigators. So make sure you guys get on, log on, visit it, and also take a test drive of our online real estate management tool, Prop Tracker. Anyway, Chris the Drummer Bowes, Bob LaChance getting back to you this week's Pre-Foreclosure Daily Grind Tip of the Week.